Well, welcome to Rob's Fix-It Shop. So today I'm going to be working on part 2 of my Sears Silvertone radio repair, and it's a radio from the 1930s. In the first video I fixed up the power supply, recapped it, fixed a problem with the bad solder joint, a couple of other things. But that video was getting kind of long, so we're going into a part 2, and in the part 2 we're going to look at, it's really got poor reception, and so we're going to look at the problem there, and we're going to fix up the case and the trim piece, and it should be pretty interesting. And the radio turned out great. It just turned out great, and I was really happy with it. So let's get right to it. So the reception on this thing is terrible. I'm hardly picking up anything by comparison.
That Mike just loves him, and I think Northern Scott Turner just loves him, and John Payton fell in love with him. His teenage.
So you can see, I mean, this radio picks up all kinds of stuff. This is not picking up hardly anything. So I have terrible reception here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to align it before I go too much further. But I may have to. There may be something else wrong.
So this is a sign of things to come in the air.
Slam the door, LeBron, as far as what he's been able to do. Love if the MVP carried into the postseason, and it was just one reward that here. And the hard part is, you know, Royce, that we don't. What is really the criteria for MVP? And
So kind of interesting. If I bring my my antenna right to the grid of that tube, I get pretty good reception. But if we look, I think that's coming right here or right here. I'm not sure. No, it'd be coming right here. And so that we're not coming through this here or this here. And so that's the, so that we're not coming through here or through here. And so I got to check out what's going on here. Why, if I just hook the antenna straight up to where the antenna comes in, I'm not getting much of a signal. But if I put the signal directly into the tube, I'm able to pick up quite a few channels. So yeah, so that's a mystery to be solved. Oh, and I put the sarcophagi back on the tubes, and that gets rid of a lot of noise and that tendency to oscillate and squeal. So I'm going to see if I can figure out what's going on with that this stuff in here. So remember I said how that first section here is acting as a filter. It's using that giant variable capacitor right there as a filter. And so when I'm putting out a signal. So what's happening is that I'm not getting stuff very well off the antenna to that first tube. And it's not, somewhere in here, it's not getting through this inductor to this inductor, or this transformer to this transformer over to this grid. And both of these transformers slash variable capacitors, transformers slash variable capacitors are filters, and so I'm just trying to figure out how it gets from the antenna through here to here. And so this is that first inductor right here, and so this one right here. And if you so right now I've got the signal generator putting out 800 kilohertz, right? And so then I see that coming into that first transformer, and there it's coming out there, and then it's coming out of that first transformer. So if I go here to the back side, so I think this is the secondary here, this is the primary here, and if I have my scope hooked up, you see that signal coming out. And here I want to show you something. Remember I said that capacitor, the variable capacitor, along with the transformer, is acting as a filter. So if I have my tuning right at 800 here, and I have my signal generator at 800 kilohertz, then watch here, watch the scope as I'm going to change my dial here, like this. Now watch the scope. You can see how that signal is right at 800, right 800 there. That's at my peak. And so you can see that it is acting as a filter right at the 800 kilohertz. So that part's working great. So I'm connected right here, and we're seeing our signal attenuated just fine. But if I connect to here, which would be right at the top of the tube, or right here, so let's connect right there. I'm getting hardly anything. So I'm kind of stumped because, okay, so if you look at this circuit, you've got your antenna, it comes in, a little capacitor, and then comes into a transformer winding, and then another transformer, or actually it's a filter, but, and then a variable capacitor here. And so that's acting as a filter for the signal coming in, right? And that's the variable one right here. So if I put in 800 kilohertz, and then I tune right here to 800 kilohertz, right? I get a nice signal coming through here, and that signal is properly attenuated as I tune in and out. But I'm getting nothing here, right? Because this is where this goes and then connects to another filter, and that eventually goes to the first tube, right? So there's our first tube, and then we have a variable capacitor here, and let's see, and then this goes off to other stuff, but essentially the thing that's puzzling me is that there's no signal here. And so I slept on it last night, and I'm back in the shop today, and I'm kind of thinking that maybe this is shorted to ground. That's the only thing I could think of, because if I insert a signal here, it seems to work fine. And so let's check that out. Okay, so it looks like we are not grounded here. That was my one concern, is that we're grounded here, and that would still make that work. I'm wondering if this here, this line here, comes back and into this 2 meg right here. I think this might be like an AGC circuit, and yeah, because it's connected, all this stuff is connected together. Okay, so this circuit here goes to the magic eye, but then it comes up through this 2 meg resistor right here, and I think this is the kind of the automatic gain control. And this resistor here was off by about a third, and so let's get a little light. So there you can see I replaced it, and it does look a lot better. It's still a little low, but let's try actually playing it, see if it made a difference. So it looks like I fixed the problems with the poor reception, and it took me a while, but what I was finding is I had, you know, coming into this transformer right here, I had pretty good signal, but then I didn't have much coming through this one here. And these are both acting as filters, but the one side of this transformer is kind of fed through this circuit here, and I think this circuit is saying, well, if you've got good reception, turn it down a little bit, and it does that by adjusting this base from 0 volts to like half a volt. It isn't very much, and that's also what's adjusting the magic eye. So the magic eye is, or the tuning eye, is actually showing how much we're kind of offsetting the base of this transformer here, coming into the grid of the first tube, and so what I found is this 2 meg resistor right here and the 2 meg resistor right here were both off tolerance. One was high, one was low, and so I just replaced those right here, and that seems to have done wonders for the reception. So if I turn it up,
He did leave the building in Indianapolis. Well, Nebraska was here Sunday. Whatever your mission, trust each other to pay federal credit union with ATM rebates, no monthly fees, and unlimited taco. Another round?
yeah, I'm picking up a lot of noise in this lab too.
Keep an eye, certainly on all the stories that are available. But once again, just quickly recapping with Virginia tomorrow, the NHL says it will.
So it seems to pick. I'm in a basement here, and so I don't think I have great reception, but it does seem to pick stuff up pretty good. So got a lot of noise. I think that might be coming from all the stuff I have running. Okay, so the cabinet's in pretty rough shape. I'm just gonna, I don't think it'll be very hard. I'm just gonna strip the varnish off and put a new coat of varnish, stain it and put a new coat of varnish on it. Like I said, I don't think that'll be too hard. Well, there it is after I stripped it and just sanded it. I didn't have to do much sanding. I just went right to 150 and then 220. And so I just got a little mahogany stain here, and I was gonna, let's see how this looks. Oh yeah. Yeah, so we'll just finish that up and get some varnish on it. I think it'll look like $1 million. So if you look, so this is the one picture I could find of the radio. And if you look, it's got this really decorative kind of faceplate around, and it looks like it's the same brown plastic as down here. I noticed I was saying it was brass, but it looks like plastic here. And I didn't have that, so I thought, well, maybe I could just 3D print one. And so I used Google SketchUp and I drew one out, and it wasn't easy. But I think it turned out pretty good. And I put the word Silvertone in there. But my 3D printer isn't great, so it's not like it came out really refined. But once I got it to this point, then I could export it and then 3D print it. And it took me a couple of tries to get it, but you'll see the results here. Well, I'm up in my wood shop, and so I've got the faceplate. I 3D printed it like I was saying. The Silvertone, I'm a little sketchy on that. I should have brought the characters up higher, but I don't know. It took an awful lot of sanding. None of this is worth it, obviously, but I thought it would be kind of cool to try to make, and came out all right. Okay, next I'm going to spray paint it gold and then maybe rub some black into it and give it that antique look. So I'm done up in the shop. I finished staining and varnishing, and here's the faceplate that I made with the 3D printer. And I just did it from a picture, and I kind of rubbed some black. I spray painted it gold and then rubbed some black into it. But you can still see the marks quite clearly from the 3D printer. And so I don't know. I suppose I could have had it printed with a better one, but I've just got the shop one here. And so I'm just going to take these little nails here, whoops, and attach this, and then I'm going to cut a piece of glass for this, and I'm just going to cut it the shape of this and then just fit it in there and then affix it. Nothing fancy. So that's what I'm working on. So I'm just going to cut the glass to kind of fit inside here. So I just have to mark it. Okay, so I think I'll have to grind that last little bit. Then I want to crack it. Alright, I'll give that a try. Alright, there it is. So it fits in there, and so I'm going to put this on the front. Then I'm going to put that in the back, and I think we should be cool. Okay, so there's a case all completed. I did have to put some spacers in here because I think it originally had like rubber grommets or something to I don't know, but these were too low. So I put these spacers in here, and in there you can see the glass in there. I just used a glue gun to hold it in place. Now we're ready for final installation.
Más de 40 años gobernando las frecuencias radiales de la
Lavender is available on racks, on your iPad and iPhone, and online.
The president's coronavirus guidelines are having a positive effect. In fact, providing 8.1 denounce fundamental science as a cult of the green.
It's a great honor, but
And the CEO of LCMC, the two largest health.
Match on the Arrested Development anecdote. I don't even remember what the analogy was. I just remember it was something having to do with Arrested Development and something having to do with Chicago Cubs.
The Cubs stink?
Yeah, they're...
Then we'll go back to the press conference.
We will get through the coronavirus to that day of renewed health, renewed prosperity that the president always describes. Yeah. Hey.
Well, it's a marvelous night for a moon dance with the stars up above and
Pues, ni gracias, ni nada, simplemente lo guardas ahí. Y a lo mejor.
Well, there she is, all completed. You can kind of, I mean, if you look closely, you can tell this is made out of plastic. It's not the original brass. If I were to do it again, I would just bring this down a little bit and bring this kind of up a little bit in here. But I think it turned out pretty nice for just kind of, I did it in Google SketchUp, and all I had was a picture from the radio museum or whatever. And here the original grill cloth was had gold in it and was much more attractive looking than this. This is just some grill cloth I had from an amplifier I worked on once. But I thought, you know, I'm just really happy with this radio. I was like picking up a station out of Quebec, and I'm from Minnesota, so I was picking up all these crazy stations, and the reception seems really good. And this is just beautiful here. I don't know whether the original glass, whether it had glass or plastic. You know, if it was plastic, it probably came out a little bit. But I just used a plain piece of glass for that, and it looks great. I just love it. And so, I don't know, I bought this kind of just because I like that magic eye. And I just really like this, like it a lot. I was just kind of thinking it was just, you know, I would just get it up and running, but it works great. So, and there you see the little sarcophagus covering. Yeah, so I was really happy with this project. It took me a long time, a lot of farting around. It had problems with the connection on the speaker. The rectifier tube was blown out. Obviously, I did a recap on it. I replaced the capacitors with original values, and then I found that the main filter capacitor really still hummed quite a bit, so I upped its value, and that took care of most of the hum. There's still a little bit of hum, and I experimented with upping the value in some of the other capacitors, but that didn't make any difference. So I really hope you enjoyed the video. It's kind of long, but it was kind of a long project, and but it turned out really great. So I'll put the SketchUp file for the faceplate in the links below if you want to make your own. And good luck with that. Anyways, so thanks for coming along for a ride and watch me fix this up. And you know, if you liked it, just please subscribe and like the video. And thanks for coming along.